have like broken my head. Dexterity goes away. If you're not healthy, no matter what you do, you're not going to get, you're not going to get to the end goal. A plan without any goals is just a wish.
Most of us assume that we'll deal with aging when the time comes. But the truth is, putting it off until tomorrow may not be in our best interests. In fact, the choices and the plans that we make today about how we'll manage our health, how we'll manage our finances, and how we'll arrange our home set the very foundation for how we'll experience those next chapters in our lives. If you're new here, hi, I'm Vicki, and this is Aging on Your Terms. In this episode, I'm talking with Iramis from Iramis and Gerry, Life+Travel. She's an interior designer who creates spaces that actually work as we age, and a certified life and travel coach helping people design their lives with intention. We're having a real conversation about how the choices you make today, whether you're 20 or 70 or in between, shape your independence, your safety, your health, your freedom, and the memories you'll carry with you. Let's get started. Thank you for joining me today, Iramis. I've been wanting to get you on the channel for quite a while because of your expertise in architecture around aging, as well as how you are living your life and planning for the future, just in case, someone in your family needs these things that I've had to scramble to get in place for my family. Could you briefly introduce yourself to the channel? Because I know you'll do a better job than I can with your credentials.
Thanks, Vicki, for the wonderful introduction. And I'm really excited to be here because there's different levels of this conversation that folks don't even understand, especially for the
Mm,
folks that are a little bit younger, right? But
yes.
now is important. So in terms of my credentials, I am a licensed interior designer. I've been an interior designer for 26 years, so working in the interior design architectural space. And when I say interior designer, I want to clarify that an interior designer and a decorator, completely different things. I did go to architectural school. I just chose to go interior design path because I prefer to do purely interiors. Doing structurals for steel buildings was not something that I was interested in. But dealing with people and human beings and how human beings use interior spaces was something
Mhm.
that I was passionate about and I continue to be passionate about. And I'm lucky enough that now that I'm seeing it as I become older, I'm evaluating and observing what's happening around us. And the world's
Yes.
changing and in ourselves, our bodies and our
Hmm.
parents' bodies, the people that we deal with on a daily basis, we're all changing. And I think it's
Hmm.
important when we think about aging and architecture, it all gets connected because we're not always going to be in our home or in our
Right.
home might become dangerous to us. So it's time to, now it's the time to start planning for that, whether it's for you or your loved ones.
Yes, I totally agree. Thank you so much for giving us that introduction. Like I said, you did a much better job than I could do it because I didn't want to muff it because that's one of the reasons why I really wanted you on this channel because not only of your professional expertise, but your personal expertise. And so now I'm going to flip it and talk about what's one moment in your personal life that made you so passionate about planning for aging from an architecture perspective and how you're building that in your life.
Uh, this actually just happened. Well, it's happened a couple times so far, but um, one particular time is I was just in Vietnam, and Vietnam's sidewalks are out of control. Like there's barely any sidewalks. There's cracks and stuff. But even the elevator lobbies in hotels have different, really kind of different lighting, and the textures of carpet to marble. There's no
Hmm.
threshold there. You just go. And
Wow.
me, I was rolling my luggage, and my luggage, the wheels stopped between the
Wow.
carpet and the marble. And I toppled over the luggage, landed, and I could have like broken my head. I'm not kidding, because the marble doors, the marble opening to the elevators was right there. I
Mm.
just missed it by inches. I had a
Oh
bruise
my
in my
gosh.
forehead. I had a bruise in my elbow. I had a bruise everywhere. And this could have all been avoided by
Wow.
a transition on the floor. So if
Hmm.
me, a person that's 49, that happened to me on a trip in a hotel, what could have happened to anyone else? And it could have happened to anyone, but that really starts to like, wonder about lighting, flooring, textures, colors, everything, and what we're seeing visually.
Hmm.
And it was really scary. So that was one of the first times that's ever happened. That's one of the first times that's happened, but it's happened before.
Mhm.
So that was a personal moment of, wow, we got to change some of these things. We got to start thinking about this now. So,
Yeah, we had a two-story house, and I think Michael was probably maybe 41 at the time, and he was not awake fully, and he went downstairs to get coffee, and he took a misstep, and he went down a flight of stairs. Thank goodness he did it on his butt and not, like, face forward, and that was the realization for us was, "Oh, yeah, stairs,
yeah,
not a good thing as we get older," because that wasn't
yeah,
even from a lack of mobility, that was just he was not fully awake.
yep, yep. That was purely a visual thing. And with that thinking, it got me to start thinking about houses and where my mother lies, where my in-laws are, where my mother lives, and the
Mhm,
differences of where she lives compared to my in-laws are, and also my own future home on whether I
right.
wanted to have stairs. What's the textures on the floor? What are the transitions on the floors? What the color differences is between a dark carpet and a light stone? Because visual, when we start
Mm,
losing sight, that's one of the big things. And for my training, having corridors, if you've ever gone to a 55 plus or a senior living, you see the corridors and you can see the carpet is really boring. That's on purpose. We don't go out and say, we're
oh.
going to pick the most boring carpet ever. No, we're going to pick a carpet that is a steady color that when a light shines on it, it doesn't look like a hole. So if you go to hotels now, you
Oh, wow.
see that there's dark runners on the side and then you have a light carpet in the middle. For a person that's visually impaired, that corner, that edge looks like a hole. So they will not step on that. They'll be right in the middle of that corridor. That could happen in anywhere. That could happen on a conference room. That could happen on the kitchen table. It can happen in the middle of the kitchen. It can happen be the
Mhm,
island of a kitchen. Could be really
mhm,
dark. People would be like, "What is that? Like, is that a hole?" And you put your hand out and you start to touch it. So all those things start to matter, and lighting matters. What
mhm,
the even the pulls on your doors, drawers, every one of those things start to matter. And those are the things that we have to start thinking about, especially if you want to renovate a home that you're going to live in it. But as
mhm,
you age, or your parents age, or your some family member ages, how are you going to make those choices? And those are really hard choices. And that's a lot of money,
mhm,
right? And that's why a lot of folks go into 55 pluses that are brand new builds, or they go into
mhm.
senior care.
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up because I never connected darkness with thinking that it's something that could harm me. I
And
guess because we've always liked light, that was never, a factor for us, but wow, thank you for
yeah.
that. Thank you for that,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure there are gonna be a lot of people who are just as surprised as I was. Like I said, I call myself being educated. And when I say educated is once we got thrown into this whole caregiving thing and learning about what we need to do and how to work with dementia, that was one thing that was never brought to us, but probably because the home health evaluation didn't see anything like that in their home.
Mhm.
It did other things like making sure we got rid of the bathtub and getting in the walk-in
Yep.
shower, adding more grab bars, not just in the shower, but around the home to help them get through doorways and things like that.
Yep.
So for me, when we left the McMansion, the two-story house, and we did this single story, that's what I was thinking of. This is probably going to be my forever home. And as I renovate it, I'm always looking for ways that, yeah, I know what I want today, but will that work for me tomorrow?
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
because I originally thought I was going to get rid of the galley kitchen, but I'm like, actually, the galley kitchen works really well for us because it's
It
got
does.
a nice wide walkway through it.
It absolutely does, and then you're able, if ever there's a wheelchair, you can go
Mhm.
through it. You can have a full 5-foot circle, right? So
Yes.
traditionally, the 5-foot circles in architecture has been something that's very important, and we have them everywhere. Well, the new codes are coming out, and there's gonna be 6-foot circles. Why the
Oh,
6-foot circle? Because you have powered wheelchairs. Powered
yes.
wheelchairs are wider, they're slightly longer. And then you have the
Yes.
paraplegics, and their chairs are completely different. So now think about thinking about a universal plans within homes, it's not really
Mhm.
universal as much anymore. It's more inclusive because universal is always planned for the most
Mhm.
common issue, right? Inclusive is planned for the 2%. So
Yeah.
those are completely different ideas that we're seeing, and you're going to start seeing them not only in the 55 plus builds or senior living centers that are brand new,
Mhm.
but also in the spaces that you go to, like new hotels that are being
Mhm.
built. Any of the
Right.
major brands
Mhm.
that you have such inclusive amount of people that are coming in, you're going to start seeing, we're all going to start seeing the changes, whether
Okay.
it's the space allocation, the lighting, the flooring. And the next thing, the evolution that's happening is, and we're seeing this, is with cruise ships. So one of the, I know it sounds silly, right? But
No, the
they're,
cruise ships, those were I don't know how those staterooms have managed to stay so small.
well, they're planned so perfect that when you have a wheelchair room, which I have stayed in and I have proof of that. I mean, I have stayed in several wheelchair rooms just because I was the last rooms available. Those rooms are massive. So you're paying for a wheelchair accessible room and it's the same price as any other human being at that level,
Mhm.
but the room is 2 times those rooms. So when folks
Wow.
say, "Well, I can never go on a cruise ship because I have a wheelchair," I'm like, "No, forget about that. The thing
You're
is
not in that room.
planned." Exactly. The thing is planned for you. So one of the things that I love about, aging is that fact that everything is so incredibly built and designed now that doesn't matter if you're on a wheelchair, if you have dialysis, anything, any of those things,
Mhm.
you can still experience your life and do the same activities. Maybe it's altered, but you still can. Architecture can do that. And that's the one passion that I, for interiors,
Mhm.
is that still true. And I do believe that just because you're getting a little older doesn't mean you can't have the same experiences. So,
Right.
and I truly deeply believe architecture can still do that.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point about how, architecture is coming into play in all of these, I wanna call them commercial buildings because I still think assisted
Yeah.
living, I know
It,
those are commercial and not personal. When people want
mhm,
to age in place, what are some of the things that you would advise people to look for? Because I know with my in-laws, it was this big barrier that if I make it for when I'm older, that means I'm old. It means I'm old
mhm,
now. And so they kept
mhm,
pushing it off. I mean, well into their 80s. I remember they had a back porch that had no stair railing whatsoever. So you could just tumble right off
yeah.
the back. And we found out from a neighbor that they've tumbled off the back. And so we just one day said, you know what, we're not asking anymore. We just showed up one day with a guy. We'd been working behind the
Mhm.
scenes, getting it designed and everything. And so it was basically just he's there to install. There's nothing you can do about it. But that was them. It's, "No, no, that's for old people. We're not ready." I My story is by this time dementia had set in and we didn't know it,
Yeah.
but before that, they never saw the value in getting their house pre-ready for them. As an architect and someone who sees all the trends that are out there for these commercial buildings, what would be some advice you give people on getting started in their home so it's not so daunting?
I think that's a great question. And I think the most important thing is acceptance, right?
Mhm.
And you have to accept that we will age. Whether it's
Right.
gracefully or not, that's up to us, right? Making sure you take care of your health before your wealth. That whole thing, right? That's
Exactly.
one thing. And that's part of accepting our mortality,
Mhm.
accepting that we're humans. And then once you accept that, then you'll be able to be more receptive. And I know this is going to sound silly. I'm a big proponent of AI. Ask AI. It will show you the steps that you need to do to make in your house.
Mhm.
You start getting that could be a quick list that you have, and then after that, if you don't have family, if you don't have kids, or you have people that you know are going to come and take care of you, then ask a professional. There is a lot of accessibility professionals that can come in and do a quick
Mhm.
evaluation of your home. Probably be like 2 or 3 hours. They'll come in and they'll evaluate and they'll show you what you can do that are quick hits, that are low hanging fruit that you can do now. And they can give
Mhm.
you that additional checklist on what can be done. There's a lot of folks that do this stuff out there. And you should be able to get a professional. And most people will be able to go in and quickly tell you. this threshold at this door is not going to work. The width
Mm-hmm.
of this opening is not going to work. It doesn't help if you are remodeling a house and you're putting a master bedroom on the third floor because it's going to have the best view. How are you going to get there? Now, the cool
Yes.
thing is that elevators were like, oh my God, it's going to cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars to an elevator. No, it doesn't anymore. There's actually
Right.
little, residential elevators that are attached to the side of the house. And they'll give you a little, it's purely sitting outside,
Mm-hmm.
pieces of steel, they'll connect it and they'll put it and you can use it. The question is, do you want to do that? Or at that point is, do you decide I'm going to do single floor living, single story living and
Mm-hmm.
change to that? And those are the decisions that you have to make. Like if you have more money than God, then go right ahead, build an elevator. But that still is not going to help you with your shower. It's not going to help you
Right.
with going room to room. It's not going to help you to any of the turning radiuses, the flooring, the different levels, all of that. And it's that first step that's going to make the difference. Now, if you feel you're already in a single story home, that's completely different. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
start looking at things. What's the approach to the home? What's the second means of egress? Because remember, you just can't just
Right.
have a ramp in front. You have to have access in the back, right? You got to
Right.
be able to get in the house. And then you're going to say, I have 3 bedrooms. Maybe I'm downsizing. Maybe one of those bedrooms can now become a larger walk-in closet that I can roll a wheelchair in.
Mm-hmm.
All the rooms are going to be a different height. And then maybe I have a bathroom that is also fully accessible that I can be able to roll in
Mm-hmm.
or have or something that's going to be able to. And I think one of the biggest things is you might not be in a wheelchair, but
Right.
there's a caregiver that needs to be able to go into that bathroom for 2 people.
Yes.
Suddenly, your tiny, tiny little bath that was really cute 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
is gonna be helpful for 2 people when they're helping you. So all those little tweaks could change. Um,
Yes.
and some of the things that right away that you can change that are easy fixes are, like I mentioned before, the hardware in your kitchen cabinets. Your fingers might not be able to be as dexterous as before, and you won't be able
Yes.
to open the door. Change those knobs. Look at if your refrigerator is about to kick the bucket, then when it does, find one that has a handle that you can actually open. Maybe your freezer is above. Maybe it's time to change to the freezer below. So there's all these little tweaks that you can start
Mm-hmm.
doing and it's not gonna cost you extra. It's just a slightly different changing your mind about how you're putting in these things in your house.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the knobs on the cabinets and switching to handles because my in-laws believe that they were mid-century modern people because they bought their house in the 50s and it's just basically it was Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And they didn't believe in knobs or handles on the cabinets because that got rid of their clean
Yeah,
mid-century modern lines. And so what we didn't know then that we know now is the reason why things were being kept on the counter or on the floor or on the table was because they could no longer open those cabinets that they didn't want handles on.
exactly. And it's all those little things that you start noticing. And like I said, if there's a professional that evaluates it, they're gonna give you a
Mhm,
list. But be like I said, before you do that, do some free searches, right? Go into AI
mhm,
and start like, how can I help make my house more accessible? And those things will pop up
mhm.
because that's what AI is doing for us. There's a host of other things that you could even the shades. I mean, I
Yes.
just your shade right behind you, Vicky, right? To
Uh,
open that, you've got to
yes.
turn, right?
Right.
Dexterity goes away. Yeah, it
Y
does. Period.
it yes.
You
And it's
won't be able to open
and I won't be having those for much longer. I am learning from all the things that I've had to do at my in-laws. It was like when we bought this house, there was so much that we ended up having to change that I wasn't planning to, that a lot
Yeah,
of the decorative items went away. I worried more about the harder things that would needed to be
yeah,
done before we moved in. Because,
absolutely.
shades are easier to change than, trying to, rip out the cabinets from the kitchen and get it
Yeah,
right. That's a
absolutely.
completely different story. It wasn't an accessibility thing. I just basically, let's just say I just basically bought a house from a person whose roommate was a rat.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Mhm. That's all. Need
Um,
not say anything else. So that's
One of the
awesome.
things that I want to add in there too is if you're thinking about you wanting to age in place, Iramis brought up a good thing about, having extra bedroom. Maybe it's a closet, but also think
Mhm.
about as we get older, we're probably going to need some help. So some sort of a caregiver is going to have to come and stay with you if you want to stay in your home, whether that's a family member or a paid caregiver, you've
Yeah.
got to have some place for them to go and rest as well. So keep that in mind that if you're in a one bedroom and you don't have a place for somebody to stay, it's harder for you to age in place if you don't have a place for someone that can come and be with you 24/7. And even though they have services where the people can cycle in and out, that's more money than having a live-in.
It absolutely is, and there's tiny, tiny little things that we can all do, and
Mhm.
for in terms of thinking about your kids, right, and your children, are they taking care of you? First of all, they're not gonna want your stuff. So start getting rid of it now. I right? And I hate saying that, but I see it over and over again, right? And see every single time somebody passes away, it's, "Well, what am I gonna do with all their stuff?" I'm like, "Well, I don't want it. They were saving it for me." I'm like, "I don't want it." A lot of the things is I don't want it. So I
Mhm.
think that if you're going to start looking at those steps is cleaning out your stuff. And
Yes.
a lot of the time we have so much stuff that you can't get a walker to go through. You can't get this to go through. There's people that have a carpet and then they have rugs, wall to wall rugs, and on top of that they have an area rug. Like why? Like start thinking of all these things. You can't roll things around this. You can't move things. People can't help you if you have all these things. So in a way, is
Yes.
decluttering your own home and giving it, being mentally set. It's that idea of acceptance. One of the
Mhm.
parts of acceptance is my house is not going to work because I have all this stuff. So time to
Yep.
get rid of it. Um, and if you still have all that stuff, then you're going to need a caretaker and somebody to come and clean on top of that because that stuff does accumulate dust, etc. And there's a lot of movement around.
Mhm.
And I think that as we start getting, aging, we really don't like people touching our stuff. So imagine a caregiver and somebody coming in to clean to touch your stuff. So thinking
Oh,
about all that
yes.
stuff is important. Yeah, all
I
the
I
constant
I have
arguing.
lived that, with my in-laws. We had to go in and declutter because, like I said, the front part of the house was fine. It was the back part that we didn't really go into a lot because, I wasn't invading their private spaces, but that's where their downfall was starting to happen.
Yep,
They couldn't get the clothes back in the closet, so it was on the floor.
yep,
They,
yep,
were buying more stuff because they couldn't get in the closet and forget they already had it, so they had 6, 7, 8 of the
yep,
same thing with the price tag still on them.
yep,
And so when we went in and
yep,
we had to clean that out, thank goodness it was only 3 rooms, and we had 7 days, so we just threw it all in bags and brought it to our house to sort. And what we noticed was, and most of you whose parents were born the silent generation, part of the depression, they were, you don't throw things away, you fix it, you might need it for a spare part. And that's the kind of stuff that we found. We found broken coffee pots. Well, the top on this one still works. So then why didn't you just keep the top?
yeah, yeah,
Why'd you keep the whole broken thing? So
yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
And you will find that, but and it's not that they're hoarders. They just can't let go because that's how they were raised. And it
absolutely.
sometimes you might actually have to have someone take them out so you can come in and do it because like you said, Immerse, they don't want people to touch their stuff. I need that. I need that.
Yeah,
My mother-in-law was picking up things, go, nope, I still need that. And we're like, nope, I still need
yeah,
that. And we're like, but it's broken or it's
yeah,
expired by years.
yeah.
And they
It,
were also of the era because they didn't believe in technology, a lot of paper. All the canceled checks,
everything.
all of the tax returns, all of the everything was kept because they didn't believe in or trust technology.
Yeah. And I think that I love how you bring that point up, right? One of the one things that we know is that they're smart. They're so smart. And,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about this earlier. It's like, they're smarter than we are because they've already gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
They might do it different. They might do it slower. They might do it their way, but they are smart. And one of the ways that I was trying to reason with my parents and Jerry's parents is giving them the facts, right? If they're like, well, I can't throw this away. I'm like, actually, it's been 7 years. You can throw this away. This is the
Mm-hmm.
law. This is your stuff. And like, fine, just throw it away, right? Suddenly, when you give them, this is the rule, because they're big rule followers, right? This is the rule. This is the legal stuff. Okay, fine, you're right. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, we have a dumpster now? Okay, let's go, right? So I did that for, we've done that for my mom is, Mom, I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, it's always this, Mom, I promise you, we can get this replaced and it'll be better. A better material, better color. It won't be.
Right.
And then until I go and say, this is it. She goes, oh, that's way better. Okay, fine. Let's go. And then now we can just I can get rid of 5 things and replace it with one. Fantastic,
Right.
right? And not everyone has the means to do that. But if you do, that is one
Mm-hmm.
thing. There's a thing called Swedish death cleaning, I believe it's.
Exactly. And I tell people that was what we did. We Swedish death cleaned for them
Yeah.
because they couldn't do it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's one thing taking care of other folks, and there's half of them will never take advice on that. Fine, they don't do it, but do it for yourself first, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
maybe as you're going through it, then you can have some empathy on when you're pushing someone else to do this. You're like, wait, I just did this last week. This does hurt me. It hurts my heart. It hurts my head. It
Mm-hmm.
hurts me. Then you can have empathy to it, helping them as they do it. And maybe some of the
Mm-hmm.
words that came into your head, you can use those to help them. But
Right.
I'm a big proponent of, don't make people do what you haven't done already. Don't make your parents do it because you think it's the right thing. Did you do it for yourself? No, it's really funny when we talk
Yes.
about doing wills and trusts and things like that.
Yes.
And you push your parents to do it. Did you do it? No. If you haven't,
Exactly.
exhibit.
Yeah, because
So,
you're just going to repeat the cycle and you're going to do the same thing to your family that your parents are doing to you. And I think for us,
exactly.
like you were saying, they're such rule followers. Everything that I would give to my mother-in-law or my father-in-law present as the reasons why they should do something, it was, okay, well then we'll take care of that when we sell the house. So we need a handrail on the back porch. If it's not up to code, it doesn't have to be up to code till I sell the house. Oh my gosh, they're killing me. So when we brought in the doctor and the home health evaluation, and I told him, I said, please, 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 I know you're not allowed to lie, but I need you to lie and tell them that if they don't do what you say, they have to go to a facility. And that's what did it.
What did it? That's what did it.
Your house isn't safe for you. So if your house isn't safe for you, we can't allow you to live here.
Yep.
You're going to have to go into a facility
Yep.
that's more safe. And that's what did it. They wanted to stay at home so bad that all of a sudden
Yep.
the bathroom was still a bone of contention. They didn't want to get rid of their low boy toilet that none of us could get off of.
No one. I can't get out of those.
I
I can't get out of them.
And so we made a pact with them. Okay, we will leave the low boy toilet if you let us put in the walk-in shower and make the toilet safer. So we put in a riser on the seat so that it has handles.
Did it work?
You can push yourself up and stuff.
Okay.
They still have their pink low boy toilet. But we can all use the toilet now.
Oh my God. And it's funny because even in our house, all our toilets are the tall toilets. They're all
Yes.
elongated bowl, top toilets, tall toilets on purpose,
Yes.
right? Those are
Yes.
ADA accessible. I can't get out of a low board. When I go to a hotel, I'm going, these things are so low. I know, as we age, if we look at, and I know this sounds silly, but I know a lot of people that do this. They won't go on older cruise ships. They won't go to older hotels because they haven't been remodeled because the seats aren't higher. There's no rolling showers. All
Right.
those things do start to matter. And as we take care of folks, and if we want them to travel with us, like I'm a big part of having
Yes.
my mom and Jerry's parents come with us. I am the human being that says, okay, Jerry and I want to stay in that little cute boutique hotel, but there's no elevator. The doorways are going to be too small. They're not going to be able to pull in their own. No, So instead, we stay at a Hilton or a Marriott or something boring like that
Mhm.
because we know such a standard. And as we continue to, look at those spaces and look at how you're dealing with your life, all those little pieces start to add up and they add up to a really
Yes.
big list.
Mhm.
And it's tiring. I don't know about you, but it's tiring. It
Yes.
really is. Every decision that you make about moving forward is it's kind of like snowball, right? It's like a domino effect.
Mhm.
And it kind of makes you think, oh God, I could have started earlier, right? Well, this is why we're having the conversation to help people go,
Yes.
I didn't think about that. I I should start earlier. And it's not early. 40 is not early. I think if you know
True.
that you're going to stay in a house for the next 30 years, then guess what? Now is the time to do it. If you're about to do a remodel, think about it slightly different.
Right. Yeah, it's like we plan so much of our lives. We
Hmm.
spend years planning for a wedding, and we
Hmm.
won't spend 2 days planning for how we're gonna get off the toilet.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We spend money and we don't do it. And I think that it's not just about the house, it's how we save money, right? There's HSA accounts, there's FSA accounts, there's all those things,
Mhm.
and that stuff can be used for medical stuff. And those are the medical
Yes.
things that we need later on, right? So
Mhm.
it's all those little things that add up to one big thing. And if we are in the mindset that we can help our parents now, then, and whether you have kids or not, or, later on, like myself, I don't have any kids. Jerry and I are
Yes.
making plans now. When we make our move to leave the United States, it's a single level. That our
Yeah.
there's bedrooms there's bedrooms upstairs, there's a bedroom upstairs, but there are full bathrooms that are renovated. There will
Yes.
be on the first level. So when we drive in from the street, you drive in directly into the carport, directly into a single surface that takes you to bathrooms, a deck. They will take you to a kitchen. They'll take you to a bedroom. All of that without
Yes.
having to touch a stair.
Thank you for
Right? I
bringing
think
that up
that
because
can
I
be
did wanna
important.
talk about your plans for relocating and how you are taking all of these lessons with you so that I hate to sound like a broken record, you're gonna age on your terms.
Yeah. No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point, and I think the cool thing about what we're doing is it's not just about me because right now, Jerry and I are pretty good, right? Who knows?
Mhm.
Anything could happen any day, right? I mean, I just
Yeah.
fell over in a luggage in Vietnam, but we want our parents to come visit us. We want Jerry's parents to come visit us, and they live in the States, but it's a quick flight down to Puerto Rico. My
Mhm.
mom lives in Puerto Rico. Jerry's parents have the two daughters that they live here, and they're close to them, and they'll take care of them, right? And Jerry, yeah, and I are moving to Puerto Rico because we want to make sure that we could take care of my mom. And I have
Right.
brothers and sisters, but they have no intention of moving to Puerto Rico. My mom is a nurse, so she's a real pain in the butt, just like awesome nurses are, right? Difficult, but the cool thing about it is that she herself lives in a single story home. And
Mhm.
if she comes to visit me, it'll still be a single story home. It's just literally 5 minutes up the street. The things that we're
Mhm.
planning is now that we're renovating it is like we talked about single story living, understanding
Yes.
how you go in through the door, how you have access to anything outside, and is it easy that you can get around? Our home
Right.
is easy. If I were to stay in the United States, this house, it's a cape and it has a steep stair right off the entry,
Uh-huh.
and it's a nightmare. There's no way anything if we were in a chair or even in a walker, we neither of us would be able to go up there. My mom, she's, when she comes to visit, she can go up and downstairs, no problem, but it would be a struggle as she gets older to come visit me in
Mhm.
this home. It would not work,
Right.
and there's no bedrooms down here. So those are the things that we were planning. And the
Mhm.
other thing that was really important to us was having access to the outside
Right.
24/7 and, 365 days a year. And I deeply believe that being able to live with fresh air
Yes.
and light and green and healthy food is what makes a difference. And I'm
Right.
not preaching as, a tree hugger or people that have organic food or anything like that. And everyone needs to do what's best for them. Everyone has a different budget. But I do see the difference between my mom goes to the gym every day.
Uh-huh.
She's 72, she's 71. She goes to the gym every day. Why? Because she knows that when I take her on a trip, she needs to walk 20,000
Right.
steps one day. And that's it, right?
Right.
She knows that if she was sedentary, she's not going to be able to do it. Other people's parents that I know, they live a different life in the United States. We got snow, it's cold. Nobody wants to go outside. They're inside
Mm-hmm.
with air conditioning, with heating, all of that. That is a different lifestyle altogether. And that's one of the reasons that people love going to Palm Springs, right? Or Florida. But even Florida has an issue because it's so hot. People go from
Mm-hmm.
air conditioning to air conditioning all summer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that type of lifestyle is going to be different. And those are all the pieces that we've been thinking about on how we're going to age on our own terms and help our parents age on their own terms.
Yeah. And everything that we've been talking about, I love it. We've been saying it's about aging, but you know what? If you have kids or you're planning to have kids, a lot of these things that we're saying are actually good for you as well, because let's just say you got 2 or 3 kids going up and down the stairs all the time, infant and a toddler, that's dangerous for them as well. They could tumble down the stairs or, as you're starting to, trying to jostle with multiple kids and going up and down the
Mhm.
stairs. Yeah, it might be good exercise, but how long are you really going to be able to keep that up? So a lot of things that we're saying just aren't just for old age. They're actually for living today, regardless of what phase of life that you're in.
I think it's important that as we're aging, we understand that we need to take care of our health. Wealth
Mhm.
is one thing, right? We can always, no matter what, you can somehow figure out how to get more wealth. But the aging part, the health part, you will never be 30 again. You will never be 40 again. And
Right.
if we don't start taking care of it, then it's going to continue to deteriorate. It will be worse for us, but not just for us, but for our family. And I think
Right.
if you want to age on your own terms, then take care of yourself. Otherwise, somebody else is going to take care of you, and you might not like the way that they're taking care of you. So now is the
Yes.
time to do it. And it's every
Mhm.
little facet of our life.
Right. And I love that you brought that up because I live in Southern California, so we have nice weather. And like the last
Yeah.
20 years, my in-laws, they became hermits. They didn't want to get out.
Hmm.
They didn't want to do anything. And that really
Yeah.
impacted their mobility. And it came full circle. They they booked a European cruise, river cruise with friends, and didn't tell us. And we get a message, oh, next week we need you to take us to the airport. And we're like, we've been watching you and you shouldn't be taking any trips alone. So we reluctantly like, there's nothing we can do about it. They got to go.
Yeah.
So we gave them cell phones, told them to call us as soon as you land, blah. None of that happened. They didn't call us. They didn't do anything. But when they got back, the weirdest conversation happened. And it was, you know what? Those airports are getting harder and harder to navigate. We had to go up a spiral staircase to get to the plane. And we're like, what the heck are you talking about? Are you in Pan Am? There's no spiral staircases. And so it took a long time for us to figure out what was happening. And it happened when we took them on a trip to Baltimore to visit my mother-in-law's cousin who had dementia, and we wanted to take
Hmm.
her back to see her one last time. And so we went with them, and oh my God, there is no way those two should have ever been traveling alone. The spiral staircase was the gangway to get onto the plane, where you go down, turn left and get on the plane.
Oh,
They
and the
couldn't
turn.
navigate that. They couldn't navigate TSA. They were taking things out and putting them in their pockets. And my mother-in-law with this big old can of hairspray. Why can't I take this on the plane? This was just 2 months ago. You don't know that you can't do this. And
Oh,
my
man.
father-in-law taking his glasses out of the case and putting them in his pocket and trying to go through security. And Michael and I are like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they need handlers.
Yep. They do. They all do. And even I need a handler through a TSA, and I pre-check, and I'm still like, what do I do? I mean, come on, right? I do. I get on the plane 18 times a year. You gotta figure this out, right?
Yep.
No, it's still hard. But I will say that it doesn't matter if we have the will, if our parents and our loved
Hmm.
ones have the will to travel, and as long as we take a little bit of that, just precautions to say,
Yes.
we're gonna help them. We're gonna help them a little bit, and it'll make everything out, better. And that's what I've been
Yes.
doing. We do with Jerry's parents. We do with my mom is help them. Just give them little tips and show them little here things in there. And
Mhm.
it does help them make their daily, sometimes daily, weekly,
Yes.
monthly, a little bit better because we have patience, right? And it comes down to that original thought that we had
It's
is
we're learning.
patience. We gotta dig deep, right? And then we're Gen X, right? So we have zero patience, right? But we have to dig deep and have patience because we want somebody
Well,
else to have patience with us.
it's like what we were talking about earlier. We grew up, we were buttholes to our parents. And then because we thought they were
Yep,
crazy and we thought they didn't know what
they
they were
are.
talking about.
They still are, aren't they?
And so then we come along and we're like, okay, well now I'm gonna parent the parent and I'm gonna treat them the way they
Mhm.
treated me as a child. And that psychology doesn't work as they get older.
Nope.
Case in point, like I said, my mother-in-law, the mobility was just so bad walking through the airport. And every person running through the airport with a wheelchair was trying to offer her
Yeah.
one. And she kept saying, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Need it.
So it basically took us an hour to get to the gate because she refused the wheelchair. But that
Yep.
was also that undiagnosed dementia. Now she's happy to jump her butt in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair. I am a bully to my mother, and she knows this, right? And it's not a thing. But I am. But I love going one of my favorite things in life is she's 71. She still can walk 20,000 steps in one day when we're going to whatever crazy company, country that I took her. She was in Vietnam. She said she's moving to Vietnam now. I bully because I want her to keep going. And the little
Right.
bullying helped her enough that she goes, "Nah, I'm gonna keep going." And years ago, and she still remembers this, and I mentioned it before, is I said, "Mom, why are you going to the gym every day?" She goes, "'Cause you're gonna put me in a wheelchair when we go on trips, and I don't wanna be in a wheelchair when we go on trips." 'Cause I'll still take
Yes.
her, but I'll make her
Mhm.
go in a wheelchair, right? I know this sounds crazy, but I already know how to rent a wheelchair if I'm on a cruise ship.
Mhm.
I know what company to call to say, "Hey, can I have a motorized wheelchair for her to be on a cruise ship?" I know these crazy things that I've looked up because I want her to keep going, because I know
Right.
that for her, staying in her home, no matter how pretty it is going to depress her because she's not gonna be able to see outside. I'm not a massive proponent of cruise ships, but I am when you are aging. Because I've been on these cruise ships when I did a crossing once from England to Boston, and,
Mhm.
on the crossing, Gerry and I were the youngest people, and we were 45 at that age. We were the youngest people by 20 years. And you know what? Those people on board, they were having a grand time. They were
Mhm.
going to the nightclub, they were having drinks, they were just having a great time, 65
Mhm.
plus, but having a great time because they could do it on their own terms, right? They
Right.
didn't need their kids to use. They were happy with their wheelchairs or whatever it is that they were doing, walkers. The ship was
Mhm.
perfectly designed for them. They were so happy to be able to go somewhere by themselves. What
Mhm.
happens when they come home? I can't speak to that, but they were happy. And to
Right.
me, if you're aging and you're happy, it keeps you younger because your
Mhm.
mind is there and you're doing new things, right? And I think, I know that Jerry's parents, his entire side of his family has dementia or at some point has had or will have dementia. And he
Mhm.
struggles with that. And he wants to be able to keep doing things so
Mhm.
that it's not a new thing for the first time this year. He wants to have repetition so that it's a standard thing that he's always done. Getting on a plane for us, it's something that we've always done.
Mhm.
I've been doing it since 5, I think. He's been doing it since he was 8, I think. So it doesn't matter. It's something that we've always done. So when it happens
Yes.
again, it's not a new thing, which is the part that just really confuses folks, right? My grandmother died of dementia. And you know one of her favorite things? She loved getting on the plane. She had dementia, and my mom's like, "You wanna go on a plane?" She goes, "Yes, let's go." She's like, "I'm gonna get my hair done," because older folks used to get their hair done and the whole
Mhm.
dress and everything. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna
Yes.
go. I'm gonna go to hair done. I'm gonna go to Chicago, and it's gonna be great." And mom's like, "Oh my god, it's like a whole different person." As long as we continue to keep them with kindness, have show them dignity, respect, and patience,
Mhm.
and if we keep doing that, I do believe that someone's gonna do it for us. And I think
Right.
that that's important. So,
Yeah, you hit on 2 things that really hit home for me as we were going through our journey of dementia with my in-laws, and one is short-term memory. And
Mm,
so things that are not in our long-term memory, like I said, building that repetition, building that
yeah.
repetition. So like grab bars and wheelchairs and walkers are in their short-term memory. So it's now really hard for them to understand that you use this and that you need
Yeah.
to use this because they keep going back to when they didn't have it. And then the other one was knowing your parent. You knew you could push your mom in certain ways because you know her. You know her
Uh-huh.
physical limitations, you know her mental limitations, and you know that what you were doing wasn't going to put her in harm's way. So many people say, well, I talked to my mom and they said they were fine. Talking
Mm-mm.
and seeing are two different things, and you really have
Mhm.
to be involved on a daily basis, weekly basis, something where you can actually see. Because once you see, whatever they say goes out the window. Because nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, they can't see what they're going through. So why would they tell you?
Exactly.
It's not always that they're
Exactly.
lying to you.
Exactly. I crack up because again, my mom's 71. And the other day we asked her a question about the septic system in our house in Puerto Rico, and it was under
Mhm.
it was underneath like 6 inches of mud, the whole thing, right? So she goes, I gotta go dig it up. And I'm going, what? What are you doing? So her and her husband go out and they call me like 3 hours later. She goes, I dug it up. I'm like, you're 70 and 75. What are you doing digging up a septic system? She said, no, it was hard, but we did it. And I'm going, oh, for the love of God, right? And she's hiking down there with like a little pair of like little white sneakers. I'm going, you're going to slip. She goes, I did slip. I fell twice. And I'm going, oh, for the love of God, right? But her, I know her, right? I
Mhm.
know her. I know how she was raised. Living in Puerto Rico is completely different than living here. And I'm going, did you get muddy? She was, my sneakers, I got to wash them. That was the complaint. Not that I
Mhm.
fell. It was,
Right.
my sneakers are dirty. I gotta wash them, right? Or so and so's dehydrated. I gotta get them from some water. So knowing
Yes.
when I see that, and she's doing the video, right? When I see that and I watch her, then it's okay for me to say, well, we're going to go walk around in Hanoi for
Right.
the entire night. And it's like midnight. And she goes, okay, let's keep walking. And I go, great. And I'm like, Mom, we're like on 8 miles now. She goes, I got it. Right. I need a snack. Right.
Yeah.
So I think because we spend time with them and we know what they like or they don't like, what the
Mhm.
limitations are, is great. Now, I do find that if I stopped pushing her 10 years ago, we would be in a whole different place right now.
Mhm.
And I don't take credit for that. I give her credit for putting up with me, but I pushed her enough. I pushed her enough to say, hey, we got to go. Like, what are you doing? Right. And I know for
Yeah.
sure that we would not be where we are. And her being 71, her being able to spent 14 days running around, Vietnam
Mhm.
with us, having a grand old time. I mean, the woman was an Angkor Wat climbing like the steep stairs, and she was so happy.
Mhm.
So all that stuff is because we thought about it 10 plus years ago, and we've been building on those daily activities and mental activities for the past 10 years. And I think
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons that I love your channel. It's because you've said it many times, is you have to plan. It's not going to
Mhm.
happen overnight. And it's the little steps, right? We all
Mhm.
know that, it's just like saving money, right? The money compounds. Well,
Yes.
that's health, right? It compounds. And are you going to be better later? I think that to me is incredible.
Yeah. I changed that stance because when we saw what happened with my in-laws, Michael and I went full
Yeah.
bore. Got it all, got it all, got it all. And we did it. We killed ourselves. We drove ourselves crazy
Yeah.
as well. But
Mhm.
what if we had done it in little steps from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60? It wouldn't have been
Yeah.
so daunting. And so what I tell people, if you just think about it and do one
Hmm.
thing at a time, then over time, like you said, that compounding interest, it gets better. One thing that hurts me to this day is that my father-in-law, who couldn't see himself as getting older, who didn't see himself as needing any of this stuff, fought us tooth and nail until he had his fall and had to go to the rehab center. And then to bring
Yeah.
him home, we had to get his house together. And he fought us on the bathroom because no, I
Mm.
don't need it. I don't need it. Or they're going to ruin my resale value and blah, blah, blah. And so when we finally it took months to finally get them to agree to it because the doctor's saying, I know they need it. They have one tiny walk-in shower, but it's not sufficient. So while you still have
Mm.
that one tiny shower, Let this be their idea. Don't force it. Don't take away their dignity. And we didn't do that. But by the time we finally got him to agree to it, he passed before it was done. So he never got a chance to have what he worked so hard for.
Yep.
And that's the
Yep.
problem. I think that most people don't see it. They always think there's always going to be time. But if you wait until you need it, you've already lost time because you might not
Exactly.
be around. Because especially now after 2020, you're not calling up someone who can come and start working on your house next week. And that's what happened with us. It took a couple
Yeah.
months to get them to agree. It took us a couple months to find someone who could do it. And then we had to get in their schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to watch it, happening. And
Mhm.
to me, it's I'm in the stage of figuring out what I want to do, over the next 3, 4 years, what we're gonna shift to Puerto Rico, etc. And to us, I see it as a compounding thing because this is an equation. This is the mindset that we've been all thinking about is
Mhm.
we started this plan without knowing. We started when we were 30, right? The decisions
Mhm.
that we've made since we were 30 have changed the way our trajectory of our life, and it will continue to change it because we have a particular mindset. We spend so much time planning our money, right? Oh God, like working, saving, hoarding, right? All these things. If we
Yes.
spend that much time dealing with our health, the things that we can accomplish to me are just like mind blowing, right?
Mhm.
And it's planning. It's all related to planning. And
Mhm.
again, keep saying you're channeling because it really does matter.
Mhm.
This is about how you treat your aging. And
Yes.
because at some point you are a caregiver, it doesn't
Yes.
matter who you are. At some point, you will be a caregiver to something, whether it's an
Mhm.
animal or a human being. It could be a plant. Take care of your plant.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
still you still are taking care of another thing. How are you going to do it? And it your terms or their terms? Is it a shared activity? Is it something that you learn from each other? Then how can you do it and how can you do it better? To me, no
Mhm.
matter what, it's still the planning. Like I
Mhm.
said, we spend so much time taking care of our money. Just take care of our health so that we can age better.
Ex exactly. I think one of the things that I said to someone and they laughed at me and then I made a video about it was, "You don't drive your car without insurance.
Hmm.
You buy life insurance for your death. What about the insurance for the in-between?"
Uh-huh.
That
Hmm.
insurance for the in-between is taking care of your health, having the
Yep.
hard conversations with your parents, making sure that where you want to live can support you through all phases, or you have the money to make it change so that it's there for you and not that you have to scramble to get it done after the fact. I'm now seeing the everything that I did when I was 30, and a lot of people thought that I was crazy. I had an estate plan. I had a will, I had a trust, and I had nothing but debt.
It's okay.
But I had it, and if anything
Yep.
happened to us, we were completely taken care of. Then the next phase was no two-story house. Now we get a single-story house, and just everything compounding, something new, something different every year. But making some sort of change means that when something chaotic or catastrophic happens, those things are already done, and now you can concentrate on a few things instead of the whole thing.
Absolutely. You said something earlier that was really important. It just triggered something. And this is a little bit ago, it's like 15 minutes ago that you said it. But you said is, are you asking your parents or your loved ones, say, oh, did you do it? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I had no problem. I totally did it. And then you watched him do it. You're like, oh, God, what a hot mess, right? Well,
Yes.
this is really interesting because recently we have brunch with a couple of friends and they're about 10, 15 years older than we are. Gerry and I
Mhm.
are. And I love them. There is my old boss. Anyway, I love them. And they said, I gotta take care of my dad and all this stuff. And he passed away. It was a nightmare because of the trust. And I said, I thought he had a trust. Oh, he had a trust. So what happened? He goes, they made a trust. They did all the paperwork. It was legal. I'm like, great. They're like, they didn't fund the trust.
I'm laughing because that's what happened to Michael's parents.
Oh my God. So they were in probate court for 2 years because they thought that, oh, we have a trust. So now Gerry and I are looking at each other going, oh my God, we have to go talk to your, like, they have it. Great. I'm happy that you have a will and a trust and everything. But is all the assets inside the trust? Different thing.
Exactly. So they created
Different thing.
their trust in the 90s and they had a trust. And thank goodness their trust attorney retired and gave all of their files to someone else. That person contacted and says, so and so retired. They transferred your files to me. I'd like to come over and go over them with you. And at that time, they could no longer drive. So Michael took them and found out they had never funded the trust. The trust got funded a year and a half before we had to execute the paperwork for Michael to take over.
Oh my God.
So we lucked out that we got it done before the dementia diagnosis and the incapacitation.
Right? I just thinking about it, like, I get chills. And
Yes.
Gerry and I, we have to go have a whole conversation. It's our turn to do it, right? So the first thing that I'm going to say is we have to fund the trust, right? So that was one thing that I thought about. And then the other thing that I was thinking about was the health part and the planning. It was really sad, but we all have the story. And I think we all have the story as we get older, right? But the story is again, I had a very good friend and they worked very hard and something happened and they were in a wheelchair, like paralyzed for 9 months. I mean, these people are very wealthy. He's recovered now. But when I see him now, I give him a hug and I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. I can't believe I'm so happy that you're walking, right? And his thing was, and he said it, he made me cry at brunch actually, just like last weekend. He said, if you have the means to go now, quit now. Both of you quit. It doesn't matter. He's like, your money is going to compound, all these things, but your health is never going to come back. And it's coming from him, right? And I'm sitting there going, and they're both, again, they're like 15 years older than that. They're both looking at us like, go now. This is our advice. Go now. Treat your body, eat well, enjoy life, do all those things now and plan for it now. And I'm going, oh, so when you asked me to speak, it was like, that was fresh in my mind. Of course, I'm going to talk with Vicki about this because it's the planning, I think it's planning. That's what it is.
Yep.
No one wants to hear
that's the reason why
that's
the reason I wanted you here. One, your age, because a lot of people, our age, in that Gen X generation are thinking, I have time. But you don't really have time because you never know when something might strike. And you want to be prepared. It's not morbid. It's not crazy to think about the end because there's only two things that are certain in this world. You're going to be born, you're going to pass. That dash in the middle will depend on how much you plan and how much you put yourself first. And we were raised by people from the silent generation of baby boomers, hard work, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I do believe that they did it in a time when companies were more loyal to their workers. There were pensions. There weren't just 401ks that you had to contribute to. They took care of their own. There were lifetime medical. Now we don't have all of those luxuries, and we're giving more of our time, more of our blood, sweat, and tears to our employers than our ancestors ever did. And we're getting a lot less from it. And so you just got to weigh it. What's more important to you? Money that you can't take with you or health that will keep you here longer.
There's a book that the name of the book is ridiculous, right? It's called Die with Zero, Bill Perkins.
Oh yes, I heard about it.
I'm going to be a cliche. That book is life-changing. If you're a Gen X and you've had a good job and you've been able to put a little bit of money aside, etc., read the book. I can't praise it anymore other than read the book. And it will change the way that you see life. It will change the way that you plan. It will change the way that you see yourself aging and what really matters. And the book is about planning and planning what your next strategy is going to be, what your next phase is going to be, what your potential exit is going to be. Is your 60, 80-hour weeks that you spent 20 years working is that going to be taxed again? Because it will, if you do not put it in a trust, it will be taxed up the wahoo. And did you just spend years wasting your life
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't plan, and now all that money that you died with, who's going to use that? Someone that if you don't have any kids, someone that maybe your niece or nephew or someone that you didn't know. Yeah,
Right.
those are
Yep.
the things that are going to start mattering, and you don't have time. So if you are Gen X, I keep preaching this. You don't have time. You're getting to the point of you are out of time and you not need to
Mm-hmm.
start making the changes now to be able to compound on them for later on, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's for you personally, from whomever it is that you're helping.
Yeah, and right around now is around the time where a lot of us are finding ourselves getting laid off
Yeah.
from jobs in favor of the younger generations, and it's happened to every generation before us. There comes a time where you're now considered obsolete, and now that we're in that bubble of obsoleteness,
Hmm.
this is really a good time to just kind of really assess: do you want to jump back into the rat race, or jump back into it differently than you did before, and not giving them your blood, sweat, and tears? I think there's value in having a 9 to 5 where you can turn it
Yes.
on and turn it off and not take it home with you. You give your 8 hours and then you're done. I don't know if I told you this, but as I climb the ladder, the more I yearn for being able to close off at the end of the day, just do my 8 hours and walk away.
Yeah.
Because I think I was happier as a worker bee than I ever was as a
Hmm.
leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. And I've been a leader forever now. I've been like over 10 years that I've been a leader, and it's exhausting, right? I've been doing
Mhm,
what I do for 26 years, and now I know that I want to give back in a different way, right? Mentoring and coaching and, speaking to folks like you and just showing them that there's a different way to do it. I'm not saying it's better. It's different. That's all it is.
mhm,
And
uh-huh,
when, when you make those decisions about your career, it is about how do you want to live the next 20, 30, 40 years? Because if you're Gen
mhm,
X and if you're lucky, you still have another 40 years. And I ask a lot of the younger workers, my designers, one of the biggest questions that I ask them is I look at them and I say, if you're unhappy today,
mhm.
you're 30. You got 50 more years of this, kid. That's what I said. I was like, ladies,
Yeah.
folks, men,
Yep.
you're you're unhappy today. You're 25, you're 30. A
It's not.
minimum of 30 years.
Yep.
You gotta figure it out, right? And I say that to them physically and mentally, it hurts you, right? And as you get older, that compounding pain of struggle, of stress, it keeps bringing you down, and that's what deteriorates your health. So
Right.
find a way to be happy. And they don't wanna hear it. A lot of them don't wanna hear it. Some of them do, and they're going, "Oh my
I didn't
gosh,"
wanna hear it either when I was that age. I'm like, "I don't know what they're talking about. I'm happy. I'm great. I'm
Yeah.
doing fine." And then over time, you start to assess what's really important to you. And
Yeah,
after a while, climbing the ladder and working overtime, and it doesn't really matter as much as, you know what? I was able to go to the doctor with my father-in-law and decipher what they were saying to him and make sure
exactly.
everything was okay, or I was able to go to my son's basketball tournament out of town and be gone for the whole week and never missed a game. You have to really start to look at it from that perspective of, wow, how much time did I really waste, and how
Mhm.
much time is there left in my life for me to kind of reverse course and actually walk out with that dash actually having the meaning that I want it to have.
Exactly, and that's part of aging, right? I think that
Mhm.
folks correlate aging with your body, your exterior is
Right.
getting old. I'm like, no, right? Absolutely not. Um,
Mhm.
you need it's together. It's everything that you do in your life, it all connects. And
Right.
that's part of aging is
Yes.
the experience that you have, the maturity that you have, all those things.
Mhm.
And that's why I always say to my, the younger folks that I work with, I ask them those hard questions. It's like, are you happy? What do you want to do? What are your plans for the future? "Well, I don't know. I have a future." I was like, you do. There has to be someone. that there's something
Yes.
that you want to talk about that you want to achieve, and how are you going to get there? And it
Right.
still comes back to the fact that if you're not healthy, no matter what you do, you're not going to get, you're not going to get to the end goal. If you don't have enough money, then that's going to also be a problem. So do the planning now so
Hmm.
that you can age better, that you'll have enough money to do whatever it is that you want to do, that you have your wealth, your health, that you can have mobility, that you can have your vision, you can have all of those things all
Hmm.
connected so that you can continue to live a better life and you can help your caregivers, right? So
Hmm.
it's hard.
Yep.
It's hard. You don't want to do it, right?
Exactly. And that's a good segue because you also have a channel and a business. And can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you actually use that to help people plan for that next stage of life?
Yeah, so the channel that I normally have right now is really about traveling, and I travel different parts of the world. And what the whole point of the channel has been is, like I mentioned before, Jerry's family has a history of dementia and Alzheimer's, and he's really nervous that he's going to forget. And he doesn't want his parents to forget their adventures also. So we started
Hmm.
documenting all the trips, whether it's with them, with my mom, and Jerry and I, so that we can watch him later. And it just turned into, well, it's easier to have it be live so people can watch it. So it's just public and everyone's been watching it. And slowly it's been evolving into, if as Jerry and I age, where do we want to live and how do we want to live our life? And that related back to, well, we don't want to stay in the United States. We want to be able to travel different parts of the world, and can we do it later? So we've been doing exploratory trips. Every year we do many trips and we go to see, can we be here if we have low vision, or can we be here if we have a walker, or people are going to be helpful? And we found many countries, right? What's the cost of living? Also, we've
Hmm.
also looked at that and to see how much can our money stretch. And from there, uh, something happened 5 years ago when that big thing happened. We never came we
Right.
never came back from that big thing. A lot of us have changed, and it's changed the way that we think about life and humans and everything, our money, everything. And if you are in that moment that you shifted, and it's where we were, we looked at each other and we're like, we're not gonna work until we're 65. Absolutely not. We're gonna
Right.
figure out how to leave it earlier. And that's the next piece of the channel that's coming up. It's A, anyone can build a house in Puerto Rico. And our big thing is, it doesn't matter where you come from in the world. You can buy land and build a house, renovate a house. You can live in Puerto Rico. It is
Hmm.
part of the US, but it's not. And that's what makes it different. And then the other thing that we're talking about is helping people how to get there faster and how they can do it. And we're going to be sharing as soon as the house starts to get built, the entire process of doing it, that you don't have to just only speak Spanish. You can work with people that speak English. You can do the architect, you can do the construction loans, all that stuff. You can do it with a little bit of planning and showing people that they can do it, that they just don't have to be stuck in wherever it is that they're feeling, that they can be able
Right.
to shift around the world. So that's a little bit of the channel. But right now it's still travel, and um, it's still fun, and soon it will not be fun. It'll just be the heartaches of construction, etc. So,
But I think that's the good part is you can actually show people too about, as you're renovating, how you're
yeah,
renovating for the future. You're not just
yep,
renovating for show.
correct. It is not a, we're gonna flip this house and it's like all perfect. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna show you the nightmare that it is, that it's already been. It's gonna be great. Not complaining. Very grateful that we can do it, but it is hard, and you need to be able to be ready mentally and physically to take on a project like that. And it doesn't matter if the project is on an island, or if it's in Florida or Arizona or any of those places. It's still, it takes very clarity of
Yes.
mind. It takes planning, and it takes your body to be able to go do it, right? You need to be healthy enough to go do those things. I want to be able to show folks how much things are going to cost, to be realistic. People say, "Oh, I did it for $10." I'm like, lie. Absolutely not, right? Don't do that, because people are watching you and they think, "Oh, I'm going to do it too." And then it's 4 times as much, right? So I want to be transparent about how things are done. And what you can or cannot do in the whole process. So I do have a coaching
Yes.
business. I'm a licensed coach, certified coach, professional and life coach. And
Mhm.
hopefully soon I will be a certified financial professional also. I'm working on that. So I'll be able to talk about all those little pieces within the channel.
Mhm. I love how you said that, we haven't bounced back from what happened 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and that's the part that I don't think people really realize. A lot of these people who say, "I did that for $10." Yeah, maybe 6 years ago, you could buy that and do
Hmm.
that for $10. You ain't doing
Yeah.
that anymore for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And I think that the bouncing back is not just a monetary thing, right? We all know that everything's increased, but it's also about your mindset. And you were in the healthcare, profession, but I design stuff, right? One thing that we all know is because we're smart, right? A lot of us are very smart human beings. Is the results of something that happened that big are not even being shown yet. We are going to have to wait another 5 years for all the
Mhm.
results, all the tests, all the studies to come through, and we're going to finally start seeing what that big thing did to us. It
Exactly.
changed us so significantly that no matter who you are anywhere in the world, you will never be the human being that you were back in 2020 or 2019. You will not be. And I think people have not accepted that.
I'm not the same person that I was, back in 2008. I've always done my job at home. I always knew I could do my job at home, and I've always known that there were jobs that can be done at home. When that
Hmm.
happened and the world shut down and we proved that you did not need to be in an office,
Yeah.
should have been a light bulb moment for a lot of people. But what it did was they said, I'm sorry, we're gonna make all these people come back into an office and go back to that
Yeah.
traditional mindset of, nope, you can't govern your time like we can when we micromanage you in the office and watch every single
Hmm.
freaking thing that you do. And I'm sorry, but I saw people whose productivity went through the roof being at home, not having to commute into the office an hour
Yeah.
to 2 hours each way and all this stuff. And it was like anything that came out of it that was good, they just completely negated it and tried to go back to the status quo where they could just micromanage and put you under the thumb. And people changed in that time. People realized what was more important to them and their time was more important. But at the same time, because their time was more important because they had it, they performed better at work.
They do. They perform better as human beings to their
Hmm.
family, to their loved ones. What you were talking about before is now we had the time to go with our parents to the
Hmm.
doctor to understand what they
Yes.
were saying, right? We weren't feeling guilty. So we can go with our children, we can go with our parents, we can go with our neighbors, our elderly
Hmm.
neighbors. I used to bring food to my elderly neighbor.
Yes.
Just little things like shovel the snow, like all those little things we had time to do. And we started seeing that we could do it different. And I believe that it helped us say, you know, we're not going to be working all this time. We're going to age, we're going to mature, and we know there's a better way to do it. How can we do it? And we started making those changes. I think that we haven't even touched the little surface about what it did to us, what that those few years did to us. And when it comes back up in about my guess is 5 more years. And then we're gonna start seeing the true changes
Yes.
of our mind changed. And,
Hmm.
yeah, I think people are gonna be really surprised. So, uh,
Yeah.
it's just helped so many people in different ways, and it's hindered in so many ways. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the results, because it's gonna matter to us as we get older.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And I like to call these my real talks with my friends because we got real today. And I want to thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I think one of the things that I've noticed is, doing YouTube with folks is just in general as we get older, the things that we value, start
Mhm.
really surfacing more, and it's really I don't know if it's sad or eye-opening is I have more people that I talk to online that are closer to me now, that are in the same mindset and have the similar beliefs than the people that are next to me, which usually those are the people that are they don't get it. Like they don't get the different mindset and they don't
Mhm.
get the quote and the planning and the changing, etc. So I like that the conversations are real, Vicky.
Yeah, when I first started on YouTube, I honestly thought I would be speaking into the void and that I'd be the
Mm.
only one, and people started
Oh,
coming out. You came out and said, "Oh, we did that for my parents," and, "Oh, what about this?" and "You need to think about that," and it was just, like, such a great way and a feeling going, "I'm not alone. Other people think the
yeah.
same way."
That's exactly what it is. Not alone. It's nice, isn't it?
Mhm. And I love your take on, like you said, we're we're building our future today.
Yeah.
If you missed it yesterday, you're still not too late. You still have the time to build it because you reap the benefits of every small step that you take.
Yeah, and it always comes down to the compounding, right? The
Mhm.
compounding of emotions, compounding of money, of stuff, or whatever. It's still that's what it comes down to is every
Yeah.
single little step. You're going up the ladder, right? You keep going up, you're gonna go down. You might fall
Mhm.
down, but you're still gonna if you wanna keep going up, you keep going up. And I think that's what, your channel continues to be about is to make those little changes so that it can be better later on, so that
Mhm.
you can age comfortably wherever you
E
choose to be.
exactly, and there's no right or wrong answer. What's good for me or what's good for Aramis is not may not be good for you, so that's why you actually need to start to plan so that when that time comes, what you had envisioned can come to fruition because I know my father-in-law towards the end said he wanted to stay at home, but before that,
Mhm.
we had no idea what they wanted. And if
Yep.
something had happened before he actually verbalized it, like Irma says, they would have got what we thought they should have.
Exactly. My mom, for everyone out there, my mom, her main idea is I'm gonna travel as much as I can. I don't
Mhm.
care where it is. I'm gonna go on a plane. I'm gonna go. And the same thing with Jerry's father. He's just like, I'm going. I don't care if I go by
Yes.
myself or not. I am going, right? To us, we heard them, so we're gonna try to accomplish
Mm,
those goals for them. And
mhm.
for Jerry and I think everyone's gonna hear us online, right? We know what we want to do, continue to travel and live better and eat healthier and
Mhm.
do all of that, just not here, just somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So for those of you that are not familiar with her, you now know everything that she is about, and I will leave links to all the ways that you can contact her and work with her and learn from her. Like I said, the first time I heard you talk about this in the way that you talked about it, because I thought, oh, she just does travel. But whoa, you broke out with, how you're helping your parents and how you're helping your in-laws and how you're doing this so that you and Jerry have these memories of this life that you had. Should something happen to him, you've got these memories you can bring back up and you're doing it now while it can hopefully stay in his
Mhm.
long-term memory. That blew me out of the water and that made your channel so much more to me than a travel channel.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Do you have any last words or are you tired of talking to me now?
No, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but my big
Yeah.
thing is plan, really plan everything. Um,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter if it fails, but you had a plan, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
A plan without any goals is just a wish. So
Yeah.
don't do
And,
that.
and things can change, but if you have it down, you're changing one thing, you're not having to put the whole thing together.
Yeah, and find your trust.
Yes, fund your trust, and I actually have a video about that because when Paul Walker passed away, he hadn't funded his trust.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And yeah, so his family had to go to probate, and I did a video about that, and I'll put that down there too, and what funding your trust
Mhm.
actually means. But basically, like Imra said, you gotta take your assets and put them in the trust, and it's not as daunting as it sounds.
Thanks, Vicki. Thanks for the smile and thanks for being you and thanks for showing everyone that we can all do it.
Iramis is unapologetically aging on your terms, and she can help you do the same. You'll find links to her YouTube channel and her website in the description below so you can get more of her insights or even work directly with her to design your best life. If this conversation gave you ideas, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit as well. But before you go, I'm curious to know what's one step you plan to take today so that you can unapologetically age on your terms. For more real talk, hit that subscribe button and then head over and check out this playlist where you can catch our previous episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.